The Irish Film Festival has just kicked off in Moscow. It opened with a movie called The Pier. We are very lucky to have the director of the movie with us in the studio, Gerard Hurley. Thanks so much for finding the time.
Thank you.
Oddly enough, I would like to ask you about your film. Tell us about it. What's it about?
It's a story between a father and a son. It deals with the difficulty of their communication, their inability to accept a very painful past, and basically underscores the very difficult time that certain males have in communicating and stuff on an emotional level.
Where's it set?
It's set in southwest Cork, and about 20% of the movie is shot in New York. So it's New York and Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay. As people who do interviews a lot can understand the problem you're talking about there about communicating. Is it a particularly Irish problem, do you think, or is it just something that's maybe British or just everywhere in the world has this and you wanted to tap into it?
It's universal, I think. You know, I see it in America. I've travelled a lot around the world. I see it everywhere. You know, I think that I think males have naturally have a more difficult time expressing themselves emotionally. You know, beyond anger and probably, you know, humour. You know,
Anger and humour. I'm going to remember that. You also star in your own movie, just as the previous one, which was The Pride. You also directed and I think you wrote you're just a one-man production, basically. But it's much more than that, of course. Is that comfortable with the crew, knowing that you're the actor and the director as well?
Well, the crews are very small, and it seems to work pretty well. Nobody seems to be uncomfortable. And it's just like the intensity of the work once you get into the stride of it.
Yeah.
You just get going and you get the job done, you know.
I wanted to ask about how difficult it was for you to make this movie, because I get the impression it was quite a long journey, and how did you eventually get the chance? Well,
the process of making the film was very difficult. I mean, it was, you know, shot in 2 countries on a budget of €100,000. The orchestration of the whole thing was just very difficult. I had received a grant from the Irish Film Board to make the film, based upon they had seen the last film I did, or the film before this one, The Pride, and they said, you know, if I had written a script that could be shot in Ireland, that they would give me the funding to do so. So, you know, I was like, that's all they had to do, because the first movie I had done was made on credit cards in America. So it was like somebody was going to give me €100,000. I was like, I'll write the script.
So The Pride, it sort of explores a social strata I didn't even know exists. Irish gypsies in America.
Yeah, the Irish traveller culture in America has actually been around for 200 years. And in that film, it was about exploring domestic abuse from a male perspective in that culture, because it's, you know, already a very isolated culture unto itself, and then to, you know, explore that subject matter, you know, it makes it a really I just found it very, you know, interesting to want to go into that type of thing. Looking at
the film festival in general, it seems to me like there's a lot of kind of character-driven movies, which maybe you could say all movies are character-driven, but some more than others. Is that does it give you a good feel of what Irish people are about? Because it does seem particularly about the emotional journey, about those people, less so kind of, you know, action movies or something else.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Irish have a propensity to, you know, you know, pursue character-driven stuff, like their stories, they're in literature. You know, it's never been about the big epic, you know. So I do think that it's, I don't think it's a specific Irish trait, but I do think that, you know, we do tend to fall into that category, you know. And then, you know, most films like are either story-driven or character-driven, and Hollywood movies have a tendency to be very story-driven. It's like it's the big event, you know, and characters is secondary consideration. And you know, I mean, I find characters a lot more fascinating than, you know, the big event. You can't really trust the big event. You can trust the character, though.
We're talking to Gerard Hurley, who is the director of the film, which already opened on the festival, but I'm sure it will still be running. It's called The Pier. Don't miss the Irish Film Festival. It's taking place in Hudorzestyny, and it's running until the 25th of March. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.